that experience, large drops in population. For instance, in particular, this one, the orange one, corresponds to, orange one corresponds to this Piper cordulatum, and the other two species are this Psychotria and Pulsenia. Okay, but this one, suffered an important crash, and this other less important, but yet important decreases. So here is a sum of the three species, and now I am expressing this as variations of the initial abundance. And you can see this one, the orange one, which corresponds to Piper, experience first a growth, but then an almost extinction, almost 100% disappearance of this species. And well, since we know that the intraspecific interactions are much important in this community than the intraspecific one, we thought, what about if we look at these intraspecific competition terms? And it is very interesting what we got. Here we have the plot for the same three species, and the dashed lines corresponds to the abundances, the variation in the abundances, and the filled line corresponds to the variation in the interspecific interaction coefficients. As you can see, for all the species, let's consider, for instance, Piper, which is the orange one. For this species, the drop of the interspecific competition term, it becomes, in absolute terms, much larger. Okay, the drops occurs first than the drop in the population. For instance, here we can see that the drop in the population occurred below 50%, occurred for the fourth census, and the drop of the interspecific competition term occurred before the third census. Okay, so in this way, it is an early warning of what is going to happen with this species, and the same for all the other species that are experiencing these dramatic losses. So the effective intraspecific interaction coefficient, JII, estimated via max end, provides a clear early warning indicator of impending population crashes for species of trees. Here I show it the same in a full scale. This is the zoom coincides with this picture, but this is full scale, that you can appreciate what the big signal produced by the intraspecific coefficient. So let me summarize, because I think that I am running out of time. Well, first we have shown that the linear Lotka-Volterra generalized equation can be used as a quantitative tool. If all the model parameters are known, the full set of linear Lotka-Volterra generalized equation allows, in general, to predict the yields of all species making up the community with reasonable accuracy. More elaborate models may be necessary for describing particular complex communities. However, according to our analysis, it seems that such cases would be more than the exception than the rule. Second, we have also seen that for the majority of real communities, we only know a fraction of the model parameters. In these circumstances, with incomplete information, we still can make quantitative predictions. Firstly, we have the mean field approximation. Mean field approximation allows to make prediction on aggregate or average quantities involving the whole community of coexisting species. Secondly, for such species in which all the interaction parameters involving a particular species are available, we have the focal species approximation, which can be used for predicting the yield of this focal species of particular interest. Finally, an alternative way to infer the Lotka-Volterra interaction matrix is through maximum entropy. This serves to provide an early warning of collapsing species. And the idea is that we got this interaction matrix as the minus inverse of the covariance matrix. And that's it. This is all I want to say. Thank you very much.
Great work. Thank you so much for that interesting talk. It's nice to see how simple models like local Volterra and the information here are still very useful for complex systems. So, is there any comment or question to Hugo? Yes, Guy, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, can I ask? So, well, thank you very much. It's really very interesting. One major thing that is still not clear to me is how your max-end model gives you the Lotka-Volterra interactions. So I can definitely see that the max-end model, if you have generally correlations between variables and you want the maximum entropy for some probability distribution, then you get these JIJs. But why are they the same as the alphas or A's of the Lotka-Volterra model? In Lotka-Volterra, you have a deterministic system. You have a bunch of let's say a single result or a bunch of results, but where do you even get correlations there? How do they enter the system? And when you talked about the stuff from Barro Colorado, then associations are not something that you see in Lotka-Volterra at all. So I'm a bit confused about the relation between things.
Okay, so let me give you two levels of answer. First, as I showed to you, we can use the analogy between the exponent of the probability distribution with the Hamiltonian of the energy of a model of spins. Okay, so here we can see that the matrix J is exactly the interaction coefficient between a pair of variables. Okay, and performance.
Sorry, just to see that. Okay, just to see that I understand you. That is just at the level of whether they are, what you would call ferro or anti-ferromagnetic. Not at the very strict level of being Lotka-Volterra, right?
No,
whether they like to be up and down together or not.
No, I mean, suppose we start with the Lotka-Volterra variables. For instance, the population densities or the yields. And if you consider that you have the covariance matrix, you get an expression that is formally equivalent to a spin system in which the interaction between these two species is mediated by the J. And you can compute this and you get that the J is at the end the inverse of the covariance matrix. Okay, this is one way. This is I think that the most I mean, less mathematical way, most intuitive way. You can do this more mathematically if you, for instance, start with a Langevin equation. Okay, suppose that we have a Langevin equation to model the evolution of the yields of the species, and then it is easy to show that from this Langevin equation you can get the interaction term as the inverse of the covariance matrix. Okay, is that clear? But this is not. I didn't want to enter in this because the audience are not physicists, so.
That's fine. I just want to make sure that would mean that you are looking at the Langevin equation would be a Lotka-Volterra system with some sort of noise.
Exactly.
It would be, and then it would be a prefactor, which could be, if you want demographic noise, you would have certain prefactors, and if you want environmental noise, you would have other prefactors, and definitely in Barro Colorado, the associations are in space, so it's Okay, so it's not the same as the deterministic Lotka Volterra.
No.
Okay, good.
No. That's okay. Thank you very much for
And
the question, because I
I
think it is enlightening for the audience.
Yeah, I definitely think that it holds a lot of information there. So thanks for that. It's a more technical issue that I was not sure about. Thanks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for the question.
Then Juan Rocha in the chat box asks, is the work on Barro Colorado data already published?
No,
Maybe you can answer that.
it is submitted. It is submitted.
Can I comment?
Mm-hmm.
So this is only for competitive systems.
Which one?
Everything. No,
No, not at all. No. Look, the matrix we got for Barro Colorado has both signs. Okay, has positive and negative signs.
Yeah, and the early warnings could be used for others, for predator prey and other systems.
Of course.
But the predictive ones.
Sorry.
But the predictive part is for competitive.
It is, yes. We are looking in the case of Barro Colorado, because this is a very interesting question, Leonardo, because this is for Barro Colorado. In the case of Barro Colorado, the interspecific interactions are much larger than the interspecific interactions. I have a guess why is this, but anyway, it is what it is for Barro Colorado. We did something similar to this in another completely different realm with an English guy, that we did something similar to this, but with the prices of stocks. Here, our ecosystem is a market, the New York market. Okay, so we consider the shares of the market shares of the companies in the Fortune 500 list, and we did a similar study. In this case, the self interactions are not the dominant ones. So we have to look not at the self interaction, but for instance, the interaction of some of the firms, which are the dominant ones that are driving the market. Okay, so the method is much more, in principle, has a wider application. I didn't want to talk about stocks, because here we are. Most of you are.
No. Yeah, it's good to talk about other things, because supposedly we are a complex system group, so there should be other themes also. But you're right that we are probably mostly ecologists here now. But no, I was wondering. My question was about the first part of your talk, that you were predicting yields in these systems, but this system seems to be only competitive.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. They are only competitive in the case, for instance, when we use the mean field approximation. But in the other cases, they were not. They were not necessarily purely competitive. We have both kind of interactions. We have predator prey. We have all the kind of possible interaction: positive, negative, 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 positive, positive.
So it can be used with mixed systems.
Exactly.
With all the kind of interaction. That's very interesting.
That's it.
Fine. So if you have, instead of having the yield or some quantity to calculate the covariance matrix, for example, you can have the diet of the species in the case of predator-prey interactions. Do you think that this could be used in some way to estimate some parameters to see the evolution of the system with the locked Volterra model, for example?
In principle, I cannot see why not, but we have to talk. You have to explain me. I'm a poor physicist, you know. You have to explain
yeah,
me.
well, you don't know how much they eat, but you know that they eat a lot of species A eats a lot of species B, and it's a very few quantity of species C. But you don't know exactly how much they eat and what is the result of that ingestion.
So you have a particular information. We can try to make this particular information into the entropy and maximize this. Yes, why not? I don't know. I cannot promise what we will get, but sure, why not?
Yes,
if you are interested, we can do this.
Yes, we are all interested here in the group.
Okay, maybe
Fine.
next year because
next year, yeah, of course, next year. Now, this year didn't exist anymore. Okay, fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so is there any other questions or comment? No.
So let me. I need a few minutes to arrange the YouTube transmission.
Okay.
For the next talk.
Great. So that was a nice bridge for network ecology. That is the next talk. So let's have 5 minutes and be here again. Okay.
Bye bye.